Hello there. Well, I've just been going through Rachel Thieves Reeves' budget. A shambles. Absolute shambles. Nothing that I didn't expect really. But if you've noticed, most of the budget has come out over the past few weeks. And it was a little bit worse than what it actually was today. So it's a trick where they go, oh, I'm glad that I thought it was this and I thought it was going to be that. But no. Oh, it's not bad, is it? It's shocking. Absolutely shocking. Especially for you and I, the pensioner. You know, the recent budget from this woman, Rachel Reeves' government, shows that once again the pensioners in the UK are being treated unfairly, to say the least. While the government talks about protecting pensioners with triple lock and inflation-linked increases, the reality is very different. The rising taxes, frozen allowances and hidden clawbacks mean that many pensioners get far less than the government claims. We're keeping the triple lock. We will not break our promise. Well, the triple lock is meant to protect pensions, rising each year with inflation. Earnings are 2.5%, whichever is the higher. The government presents it as a generous gift to pensioners, promising that their incomes will keep up with the cost of living. But at the same time, the personal allowance is frozen at £12,570 per year. This means that pensions with modest private pensions are pushed over the tax line and forced to pay tax on part of their increase. I am one of them. Next year I will be paying tax. Now, as a pensioner whose income previously fell just below the threshold, I'll see part of that rise disappear to the taxman, HMRC. In other words, the government gives with one hand, takes it with the other. 6767. The budget, it's quietly squeezed people through frozen tax thresholds. It's called a fiscal drag. For pensioners, this is especially unfair. Private pensions rising with inflation now trigger taxes. Savings allowances, ISAs and dividends face new levies. Small incomes increases no longer translate to being at a better standard of living. And its pensioners end up paying more tax even though they try to keep up with the cost of living. You know, now, for example, we've got inflation at 4%. Now, we've lived with, I'm saying 4%, we know it's higher. But they're saying it's 4%, 4.5 or what have you. But we're living at 4.5% inflation. Now, and in April, we get a 4.5% pay increase. And if inflation goes up to 5% in May, well, we'll get the 5% next year. So we're a year behind. They're not paying us quarterly with a pay increase or what have you. Like, carry on. I mean, don't get me wrong, the workers, you know, I'm an ex-worker like you and I. And it's them poor buggers I feel sorry for more than myself. But I'll get this 4% pay rise. That'll push me over the tax limit. not by much, but it'll put me into the tax paying bracket, and I'll have to pay tax. So I could even be worse off with cash in hand next year than I am this year. And then we've got the inflation and everything else. And then we've got, of course, your council tax, your energy. Your energy bills are coming down by £150 a year. Oh, thank God for that. Oh. Highest energy bills in the world, allegedly. And if they're not, they're near it. But the government also claims public services are protected. You know, but the reality is telling different stories. You know, NHS, their waiting lists are massive, massive. We took 20,000 off the waiting list this month. That's not bad out of 8 million. Social care is underfunded. Energy bills keep rising. But according to them, they're going to come down. Pensioners relying on fixed incomes face a double burden because of the higher taxes and rising costs. Their real income is shrinking despite the promises of a generous pension increase. The 2025 budget continues a long pattern of treating pensioners as political talking points rather than a group of to genuinely support. The triple lock, presented as generous, of course, is partly taken back in taxes. Rising living costs and underfunded services make life harder on a day-to-day basis. And, of course, pensioners are now quietly losing ground while the government claims to be helping them. Well, I don't want their help. In short, pensioners are being shafted and shafted again. Promised increases they cannot fully enjoy. Taxed on modest gains. Left to struggle with costs that keep rising. And for the UK's elderly population, the government's promise of care remain mostly empty words. Now that's where we sit with this. But in the meantime, take care. Bye now. Bye.